Hi, my name's Jamie Steele, and today we are introducing a new series that has been developed by CHCO television here in St. Andrews, New Brunswick. It's a series that will focus attention on the wealth of marine-based science and technology that happens to take place here in Charlotte County on the shores of the Bay of Fundy and Passamaquoddy Bay. It will focus on the people and organizations involved in helping make sense of a complex yet so important ecosystem. It is a series that will underline the importance of and the need for good science and relevant information. We need that if our ocean environments are to be used sustainably and support the coastal communities which depend on them. And it will introduce those people who are involved in helping make all of this happen, those people and organizations that are submersed in science. The Bay of Fundy is a special place, and so often places like these are not seen for what they are. So often we turn our eyes, ears, thoughts, and actions elsewhere. I've always been surprised at how little we know about what's happening in our own backyards. When environmental issues are raised, we often immediately think of other places like the Amazon or another far-off place. When we go on school trips, we often go overseas. The old adage of not being able to see the forest for the trees, or in this case the bay for the water, really seems to apply here. When you think of the ocean, what do you think of? More often people speak about places located well beyond our borders, the Caribbean or tropical beaches, warm water. However, the ocean in our own backyard, right out there, is one of the most intriguing, magical, and biologically productive ecosystems on this planet. And somehow, we pass it over when we think of the world's great natural places. Here in New Brunswick, the Bay of Fundy and its sister, the Gulf of Maine, are as unique an ecosystem you're likely to find anywhere. It has been, and continues to be, the lifeblood of countless organisms, both large and small. The bay means life, not only to those who live year-round in the nutrient-rich waters, but also those who live along its shores, and to the birds and fish and great whales that migrate into the bay every year. The Bay of Fundy is much more than the famous tides that rise and fall, the waves that lap its shore, and the abundant life that inhabit it. It is also 600 million years of change that have resulted in what we see today. It is these changes that continue to occur, helping to shape the future. It is the individuals who are trying to know it better through educational encounters and scientific research. It is the people who live and work on it. And it is the magic, the mystery, and the intrigue we can discover by experiencing it ourselves. Whether we live beside it or visit it, we should make an effort to know it better. After all, it is one of the planet's great oases. It is also a lesson in history and geography, in culture and tradition, in adaptability and change. So this series will help us do just that. Today we are going to introduce you to some of the people and organizations that we will be discovering in more depth during the series. Let's start today by introducing you to Dr. Jamie Smith. Dr. Smith is the Executive Director of the Huntsman Marine Science Center, located here in St. Andrews, New Brunswick, an organization aptly named after one of Canada's most iconic marine scientists, Archibald Gowanlock Huntsman. He was an individual whose own curiosity and dedication to finding answers to benefit those who depended on our coastal and ocean environments is a fitting start to this program. Huntsman became a world-renowned scientist and a teacher who really became the foundation on which our local marine science industry was built. The Huntsman Marine Science Center continues to this day to focus its attention on education and research related to the waters right here in our own backyard. You can often see students on local beaches or out on the water on research vessels sampling the waters and getting to know it a little bit better. Even though the work done locally benefits us in understanding what happens here, it has international significance as well. And Dr. Smith is going to talk about that.
I'm Dr. Jamie Smith. I'm the Executive Director here at the Huntsman Marine Science Center in St. Andrews, New Brunswick. And we're a not-for-profit education and research facility dedicated to conservation, protection, and education of the marine sciences. We were established in 1969, mainly as a place where government scientists and university scientists and students could come together and do interesting research and provide education outside of the government or university facilities, and to experience hands-on what the marine environment is all about. We started off mostly by doing university courses, but now our work is much broader than that. We have education programs that cover everything from grade 6 programs right through to middle school and high school, and of course our university programs as well. We also have a great expertise in research here at the Huntsman, where, for example, we have the Atlantic Reference Center, which has a vast collection of aquatic organisms, and the staff at the ARC use those organisms as well as their own experience to do all kinds of different work on marine and coastal ecology, environmental assessment, impact assessment, monitoring programs, all kinds of really interesting projects. Our aquaculture work does work in all kinds of different marine and freshwater species, with Atlantic salmon, with brook trout, with sturgeon. We've done all kinds of cod work. We do broodstock programs, nutritional studies, many different things to benefit the sustainability of the aquaculture sector here, locally as well as internationally. We have vessels that go out in the water and do research. We have a 60-foot research vessel called the Fundy Spray that can go out and do oceanographic work or environmental work. It's also licensed as a passenger vessel, so we can take student groups out or tour groups out and show them the environment in the Bay of Fundy. And of course, we have our beautiful new Fundy Discovery Aquarium, just opened 2 years ago. The state-of-the-art aquarium that has some fascinating exhibits that allow the public to see the marine environment of this area, and also the industries that work in this area as well too. So it's very important for us at the Huntsman to give education and to do research around not just the environment, but the industries that are here and our coastal communities, and to ensure that the sustainability for all that is there.
Perhaps the granddaddy of all local marine institutions submersed in science is Fisheries and Ocean Canada's biological station, located at St. Andrews. Before the Department of Fisheries and Oceans existed, back at the turn of the last century, there was an acknowledged international need for a greater understanding of our ocean environments. In 1893, the Dominion Commission of Fisheries was established, and shortly after that, research began in and around St. Andrews. From these early beginnings, a permanent facility was established right here in Charlotte County. Over its 100+ years, it would become known locally as the Biological Station and recognized internationally as a leading center for marine science and fisheries research. One of its first and longest serving and best known directors was Dr. A.G. Huntsman, who we've heard about, a professor at the University of Toronto. One of our programs in this series will tour the station and highlight some of the work being done there today. But first, let's hear a little bit from its present director, Sharon McGladdery.
I'm Dr. Sharon McGladdery. I'm the director of the St Andrews Biological Station, and I'm delighted to be part of the series Submersed in Science and welcome you here today to talk a little bit about the biological station, where we've come from and what we're doing now. Welcome to the St Andrews Biological Station, located at the bottom of Brandy Cove Road in St Andrews, and one of the most historic sites for marine science in Canada. The station was established as a permanent facility in 1908, following successful pioneer biology on a floating barge, which was a raft here in 1899. So we have a long, long history of marine science at this site. And you may be asking, why this site? Well, simply because it's on the coast of the most giant marine biology feature in the world, which is the Bay of Fundy. And we have just a prime location for investigating marine ecosystems around our coast here. So it's just a beautiful location for marine science. We started off early, as I mentioned, 1908, doing investigative research into what was in our waters, what was out there, exploring, basically, just exploring and collecting. So we actually host at this site the Atlantic Reference Centre, which has the most historic collection of marine organisms in Atlantic Canada and is referenced from around the world for its collections, which we kicked off in the early 1900s. From there, post-World War II, we started working with the commercial fisheries. We did a lot of early work on where the fish are and what technologies were best for fishing and detecting fish. So we did a lot of work on counting, aging, and determining where fish were going to feed and where fish were going to spawn. So that was part of the pioneer work we did post-World Wars. And that led into understanding the biology of the species that we were working with. And we also included some of the freshwater river systems and estuaries at the same time over that period. So we built up quite a knowledge of the salmon species, which was pivotal in early work taking on breeding research and understanding spawning. And that was used initially for enhancing some of the salmon rivers where salmon stocks were declining. We did a lot of that work, which triggered our research, the early research and pioneer research for Canada into aquaculture and salmon and trout and freshwater aquaculture, which has kicked off quite a bit since our early studies there. And most recently, we've been putting together our knowledge of the fish and organisms we've worked on with the ecosystems. And we've really triggered a lot of coastal oceanography research to support the animals that we're beginning to understand better and better in our waters, and also investigate the areas that we don't know, because we still don't know a lot about what's going on out there. So we've been using our historic data. We have some really long time series of data that are being used now to look at trends, changes like climate change questions that are coming out. So that's where the biological station is bringing us up to what we're doing right now. And along the way, we have been blessed with the neighbors in our community that we've had a big part in helping develop. And obviously our neighbor 2 minutes away up the road is the Huntsman Marine Science Centre. And that was developed by a previous director of the station, Dr. John Anderson. And that station is based on research collaborations with universities, as well as public information. And with the new Fundy Discovery Aquarium, it's a wonderful counterpoint for getting interest in marine science that can eventually come and work with us at the biological station, we hope. And also with our freshwater experience, we were part of the development of the Atlantic Salmon Federation, which is involved in the salmon conservation projects. Again, complementary for what we do in this area. Thank you very much for your interest in the St Andrews Biological Station, and I look forward to welcoming you back to show some of the research that we have going on right now for your amazing series, Submersed in Science.
As we shall see through the course of this series, our tiny little corner of the planet is truly submersed in science. Not only is the region the site of Canada's first marine research efforts and a university-based centre for student and research and coursework focusing on ocean sciences, it is also the world headquarters for a major conservation organization, the North Atlantic Salmon Federation. Established in the late 1940s, the Atlantic Salmon Federation has worked tirelessly to help conserve salmon habitat, increase salmon abundance, and lobby for appropriate offshore commercial fishing practices internationally. It's developed its own hatchery and research capabilities in the 1960s and became a major proponent of conservation. Today, its work spans provincial and international borders. Here is ASF President Bill Taylor to give us some background.
Hi, I'm Bill Taylor, President of the Atlantic Salmon Federation, and the Atlantic Salmon Federation is an international Atlantic salmon conservation organization dedicated to protecting, restoring wild Atlantic salmon and the freshwater and marine environments that they need to sustain them. Our headquarters are here in Shamcook. We have 21 full-time staff, and that usually grows to somewhat north of 30 in the summertime when we open our interpretive center, and we have research and field programs going on around Atlantic Canada and Quebec. We also have an office in Brunswick, Maine, and we have field staff in each of the 5 eastern provinces, Quebec and Atlantic Canada. So in total, 32 full-time staff, which grow to about 45 in the summertime when we have our research and habitat